everyone, and thanks for tuning in for today's crochet tutorial. So today I'm going to be showing you how I make my Pochita plushie. So I've read the manga and I really liked the anime, so I thought maybe I'd share how to make this plush with all my followers. So let's get started with some materials. So first up, we're going to need some white, gray, orange, and brown worsted weight yarn, some black embroidery thread, a sewing needle, and a tapestry needle, pair of 9mm safety eyes and some fluff, and then of course a 4mm crochet hook and some scissors to cut all your tails. Alright, let's dive in. So we're going to start with some orange yarn so we can make the body. So I start off with a wrapped method magic loop, and then inside that loop I'm going to place 6 single crochet stitches. Once I've got all 6, I'm going to pull that tail, and I'm ready to start my second round. So for round 2, we're going to put 2 single crochet stitches in each stitch. I also start marking my stitches for this round. So 2 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. Okay, we're ready for round 3. So we're going to start increasing by placing 1 single crochet stitch in our first stitch, and then 2 in the next stitch. So we're going to repeat that pattern of 1 and then increase all the way around. Okay, to start round 4, we're going to continue increasing by putting 1 single crochet stitch in the first stitch, another single crochet stitch in the second stitch, and then an increase. And we'll repeat that till we reach our stitch marker. Almost done with round 4. Alright, round 5, all we need to do is put 1 single crochet stitch in each stitch all the way around. Alright, so it's time to put in the front paws. So for round 6, we're going to put 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches. So here's the first, here's my second, my third, and then we're going to put a 5 double crochet bobble in the 4th stitch of the row. By the way, I have a great tutorial on how to make a 5 double crochet bobble and then how I use it in the round. So if you'd like to check that out, I'm posting a link here so you can click over and see. So once you finish that bobble, we're going to put another 4 single crochet stitches. So there's the first, second, third, fourth, and then the other paw, which will be another 5 double crochet bobble. There's my second bobble, and then I'm going to continue putting single crochets all the way around. Alright, wrapping up round 6. Round 7 through 10, all we need to do is put 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. That's going to be 4 rounds total of just single crochet. Alright, I'll see you on the other side. So I'm wrapping up round 10, ready to move on to round 11, which is our back paws. So we're going to single crochet in the first 4 stitches. So there's 1, here's my second, third, and fourth, and then we're going to place another 5 double crochet bobble. This should line up with the first double crochet bobble that we made. So double check that those line up. Alright, and then I'm going to put 5 single crochet stitches between the paws. So there's my first, second, here's my last, and then I'm going to place my 4th and final paw, which is another 5 double crochet bobble, in that stitch. Alright, and then all I need to do is single crochet in the rest of the stitches. Alright, here's round 12, which is just 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Alright, so I'm ready to start decreasing. So for round 13, I'm going to put one single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then a decrease, which is where I single crochet 2 stitches together. I'm going to repeat that pattern all the way around. For round 14, we're going to continue decreasing by putting one single crochet in the next stitch, and then single crocheting 2 together. And again, like before, repeat that same pattern of 1 decrease all the way around. Alright, so I'm going to pull that last stitch up that I just made, and I'm also going to take my stitch marker out because we need to add the safety eyes here to the front of our piece. So go ahead and grab those 9mm safety eyes that we have, and we're going to place them on the front of the body. So I like to count outwards from this magic loop. So 1, 2, 3, and then in between the 3rd and 4th rounds, place my first eye. So we'll grab our second eye and repeat the same process, counting 2, 3 between the 3rd and 4th rounds and placing our second eye. Double check that they're lined up straight across. Sometimes it gets a little weird because the circle is hard to place the eyes in. But once you've checked and you're sure, we can go ahead and snap the safety eye backs onto the back. Okay, we're ready to stuff. So go ahead and start stuffing the body here, but be careful because the eyes sometimes get, as you can see, kind of wonky if you don't watch how you're stuffing. So if that happens to you, kind of just grab the posts of the eyes and wiggle them a little bit to unwonkify them. That's the best I can really think to do that. So double check that your eyes are not wonky, and then you can finish stuffing. Now that he's stuffed, we're ready to go ahead and finish. So reinsert your hook into that loop we pulled long, and then pull your working yarn to tighten it down. And then for our last round, we're just going to put a decrease in each of the stitches around. Finishing up my last decrease. Okay, so we're going to fasten off by cutting ourselves a long tail and pulling our hook through. Next, we're going to add some face details. Alright, so to start with the face, we're going to get some white yarn and thread our tapestry needle with it, and then tie a knot at the other end of the tapestry needle. Then we're going to take that tapestry needle and send it through that opening in the back of Pochita's body, straight up through, and then as close to the bottom of the right eye as you can manage. Now, you can't really get right underneath his eye because that snap on the back is in the way, so as close as you can for now. And then to get a little closer, now that we're at the front, we're going to actually go back through that same stitch and then directly underneath the center bottom of the right eye. So now that we've got it as close to the eye as we can, we're going to wrap it around the outside of the eye and then send our needle underneath the flat part of the eye that sits against the fabric and back down to the bottom. We're sort of sewing around the bottom of the eye. This is going to help keep this white in place. So once you get that stitch through, it kind of covers the eye, which is not great, so we need to kind of wedge it underneath where the safety eye meets the fabric. So if you alternate between sort of tugging your tail and then wedging that yarn underneath the top of the eye, you'll get it to stay in place. You can even poke with your needle a little bit if it helps. So once the top's wedged, the rest falls in line. We'll go ahead and repeat that same process here on the other side. So sew as close to the bottom of the eye as you can. I'm going to poke that stitch in to hide it. And go through the top. So underneath the safety eye. And then sort of wiggle between wedging and tightening the tail until the eye has the white in place. All right, so now that the white's in place, we're gonna sew through that same stitch we came up through and back to the back of Pochita's body. Gonna just double check my eye looks good. Yep, everything's good. And then to tie a knot, we're not gonna tie it to the surface of the body, but rather to the fluff. So make your loop, then sew down and then back up through the fluff to tie the knot. And then weave your tail in just as you would with a regular surface knot. All right, eyes are done. Next up, grab yourself your sewing needle and your black embroidery floss. We're going to tie a knot at the end of the embroidery floss. And then just like we did with the white for the eye, we're going to sew through the back of Pochita's body and come up directly through the center of that magic loop that we made, the hole. Then we're going to make the right side of his mouth by sort of sewing a diagonal stitch, maybe a row away from the magic ring, and then a little on the outside. Send your needle straight across to sort of the same position on the left side, because then we'll sew back up through the magic loop to finish the other side of the mouth. Then to make the little W shape of his mouth, we'll sew to the outside and then back through that same stitch we made the left side of the mouth on, and repeat on the other side to finish the mouth. So we're also going to use this embroidery floss to make his eyebrows. So send that up above the left eye. There's his mouth, you can see. And then a small short stitch ought to do it for his eyebrow. You can sew the other eyebrow too, just make sure it's lined up height-wise on his head. So there's my first eyebrow. And I'm going to repeat here on the other side. Just look in line to me. So once you've got both eyebrows sewn, we're going to send that black back to the back of Pochita's body. And then just like we did with the whites of the eyes, we're going to tie a surface knot using the fluff, weave in the tail, and cut all of the excess. Perfect. All right, let's keep moving on. So now we need to close Pochita's body up, but before we do that, take a little more fluff and use it to hide all of those nasty tail ends that we had so they don't stick through the fabric. Then thread your tapestry needle with that orange tail left over. Sew through each of the remaining 6 stitches. And then pull tightly to cinch the back closed. Then we'll tie a surface knot, weave our tail in, and cut all excess. All right, let's get that chainsaw blade going. So we'll grab our gray yarn and we'll start with a magic loop. And just like we did with the body, we'll put 6 single crochet inside that magic loop. Pull that tail tight to close. And then we're going to start off by placing 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then an increase in the next stitch. And we'll alternate between that pattern another 2 times, so 3 times total, until we have 9 stitches. Oh, sorry, went too many. Okay, now that I've got that, I can start on rounds 3 through 5, which is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. nearly done with round 5 here. Okay, so to finish off the chainsaw blade, we're going to flatten it by squishing it together, and then slip stitch both sides together by going through the front and then into the back, pulling through, and then pulling through again. We'll do that 3 or maybe 4 times to close the bottom of the blade. Alright, once you finish that last slip stitch, we're going to go ahead and cut ourselves a long tail to sew with, and then finish off by pulling the last stitch all the way through. Okay, let's get this attached. So go ahead and grab Pochita and get yourself a tapestry needle and thread that gray tail through the eye of your needle. Then we're going to send it straight down through that magic loop hole, and then up between some of the stitches directly above in row 4 or in between row 4 and row 5. So you're going to have to twist his nose around a little bit so it sits flat, but once you have, you can then tack the other corner by sewing through and then back through that same stitch that we made to tack it. So send your needle back down through that magic loop hole. And then one more time we're going to tack the front end and pull tightly to sort of cinch the blade down onto his face. Okay, sew back up through the magic loop hole and into that stitch between row 4 and 5. Pull tightly again to kind of cinch the blade onto Pochita's face, and then tie a surface knot and weave a tail in. Cut the excess, and now we're ready to move on and make the handle and the tail. So to get started on the handle, we're going to take our brown yarn, tie a slip knot, and then chain 11 stitches. Make sure to leave a long tail on the slip knot side too, because we'll need that to attach. Once you've got 11 stitches, we're going to go ahead and cut ourselves a long tail to sew. Pull our last chain through. And then tighten both ends, the slipknot end and the other end. Alright, let's get this attached. So thread the tapestry needle with the short end, the one that we used for the slipknot. And we're going to use this to help tack the handle in place. So I usually go about 1, maybe 2 rows away from the blade, and then send that short tail through to help anchor it. Then I need to double check that I've got the chain facing the right way. Might have to twist it a little bit, but once you've got it facing the right way, we can thread our tapestry needle with the other longer tail and then sew down into his body and straight across to the side that's anchored. Sew through the fabric of that side, and then we're going to whip stitch this side on and go back across to the other side. So now the left side's secure. We'll add 1 more stitch to the right side, just another whip stitch, and then send your needle up to some point underneath the handle so that we can tie a knot here on the surface. And then weave our tail through. Pull tight to hide the knot inside the body, and then cut both the tail we just sewed with and the slipknot tail. Okay, now we're ready to crochet the tail. So to start, we'll get some brown yarn, tie ourselves a slip knot again, and then we're going to chain 6 stitches. Then we'll turn our chain and slip stitch back down. Once you've finished slip stitching down that chain, we're going to go ahead and cut, once again, a long tail to sew with, and then pull both the slip knot tail and the regular working yarn tail through our last stitch. Go ahead and pull both to tighten, and then we're ready to attach. Okay, we're nearly done. All we need to do is attach the tail. So just like with the handle, we're going to start by threading our tapestry needle with the slip knot tail. We're going to use this to anchor the tail in the right position. So check that it's in line with the blade. It goes on that first row of decreases of the body. Weave that tail end straight through just to help anchor and get the weaving in out of the way. Once you've done that, thread the long tail through your tapestry needle. And we're going to whip stitch the tail on by going down through the fabric of the body, back through the fabric of the tail. Sort of double check that everything's all in line. Looks good to me. So we'll finish off by tying a surface knot and then weaving our tail end in. Cut both the tail end that we just worked with and the shorter one from the slip knot. And with that final snip, you've completed your very own Pochita plushie. So now you've got a companion to help you mow down demons. Hooray! Like always, thank you so much for watching my tutorial. I'd be overjoyed if you consider following my channel. I've got lots of things I want to share. So, thanks!